plane. We've got stories for your day. From Onefinity, it's clear to see the finest CNC. It's the Cutting Edge Podcast. Let's take a flight.
Welcome, everyone, one and all, to the Cutting Edge Podcast presented by Onefinity CNC. I'm one of your hosts, Morgan Hop, and we have
Stone. I'm Stone. I'm your other host.
I could have done with a little bit more enthusiasm there.
I am your other host. No. I've been wired today, and I honestly don't know why. Because
I don't understand how that can be possible because, like, the entire week well, we'll get into that. I'm still recovering. Not from my pocket hole addiction. I'm recovering from the thing that we just did that we're going to be talking about today.
Today?
What's that?
What are we talking about today?
Today, we just got back from Maker Camp up in the Catskills Mountains of New York. It's beautiful up there, and we had a great time. Stone had 25% more of a good time than I did because he was there for 25% longer. And we'll get into that. But today we're talking about Maker Camp. Probably, I don't know, personally my favorite event of the year. I don't know about you. It's my favorite.
It's definitely the event to go to if you have to choose one.
Yeah, if you got to choose one, there's Workbench Con, there's Texas Woodworking Festival. We're doing all those, but if you got to pick one, Workbench Con is
Maker Camp. You mean Maker Camp?
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Maker Camp.
Obviously, hasn't recovered.
I haven't really given myself time to recover. But anyway, yeah, so that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about Maker Camp. And if you've ever seen the kind of the video recaps that I do of every time we go to a show, do a trip, this will basically be just kind of like the audio version of that. But, a little bit more context, a little bit more detail because it's longer. So if you're interested in hearing any of that, sit tight, grab some popcorn, grab a snack, enjoy. So to get kicked off, I didn't get there until about 24 hours after I had initially planned to get there. And the reason is because I live in Central Florida. And if you pay attention to the news, in Central Florida, we had a little bit of a storm come through. My flight was booked for Thursday morning, Thursday, October 10th. And it was that morning that Hurricane Milton was just kind of hovering above us and moving across the state. So they canceled that flight. And so I had to just sit in my house and wait, and my power went out. So without power and internet, I'm just like on my phone feverishly trying to rebook a flight to get up to Maker Camp. And somehow I was able to do that. I got a flight for 5:00 in the morning, the following morning, after it was still kind of hovering over the eastern coast of Florida. And but over the course of the night, the power went out in the house. And so I told my wife, I was like, I'm not gonna leave. I'm not gonna go up to New York with the power still out. And but the power was restored to the house and it worked fine, totally normal for like 13, 14 hours. So I was like, okay, now I'm comfortable. I feel like I can, life goes on. I can go up and go to my work trip. And so I left, went to the airport, got there at 3:00 in the morning. And when I landed, I got a text from my wife. She's like, power's back out. It's not supposed to be back on until Thursday. That was Friday. So it's like another full 6 days.
Mm-mm.
So I felt awful.
You'd have been in the doghouse if you hadn't got that.
No. I've not been in the doghouse. She was very, very understanding. Like when I left, everything was totally normal. And how could I have known that they would have shut the power back off again and then kept it off for another 6 days? It wasn't off for another 6 days, but that was the prognosis from Florida Power and Light. So it, it's just so I felt terrible when I got up there. And I spent like an hour just walking 2 full laps around the entire maker camp space, coaching my wife on how to operate our generator and refill it with gas and plug it into the panel and order of operations. You know, you got to shut the mains off first, then plug it in, then turn on the generator, all that stuff. She got it on, super proud of her, but then we ran out of gas. And then there was no, after a storm, there's no gas to be had. So it was just out of gas. And I was like, just go to a hotel. That's all I can. I'm sorry, I'm not there.
But they made it. They survived.
Yeah, we're still here. I'm in my shop. Shop survived. House is still standing. And
I hadn't thought about that, but your shop is literally a portable building.
yeah,
That could be really bad with a hurricane.
It's the thing is, it wasn't really the hurricanes that were the most destructive part of all this. It was the tornadoes that came after. There were tons of tornadoes that followed the storm and just wreaked havoc, just like you would see in like the Midwest, where a tornado will touch down, 2-minute warning or whatever, and just decimate a whole area. That happened in Florida, and that's not something that we're used to. Fortunately, not here. My house and shop were, for the most part, totally fine. Just minor damage, but no big deal. Easy stuff to fix.
Yeah, you said you lost a little bit of fence, right? But other than that,
yeah, I lost a couple sections of fence. I just got to put up a few new sections of fence. No big deal. But yeah, so that was my adventure leading up to getting up to Maker Camp. And so I got there. Sorry, I feel like I've been rambling, but this is a story, So
no, it's okay.
Got to tell
Get
it
it
to
out.
completion.
Let people know.
So I got to the airport and there was not a soul there. And when I say that, I'm not exaggerating at all. Other than the people that work at the airport, there was nobody. Because I think that the flight that I booked was one of the first flights, if not the first flight, to get scheduled after resuming normal operations. And so I got there and there was absolutely nobody there. And when I got up to the ticketing counter, they were like, "Oh yeah, that's canceled. Then we canceled that one." So then I got on to, they were like, "We can get you out of here at like 8:30 in the morning," a couple hours later. So all right, cool. I booked that, went to my gate, shut my eyes, and then when I opened my eyes, there was just a sea of people. It was just a really weird experience. Going for like
people
with nobody there, and then there just being everybody there. But got on the flight, took off on time, landed on time, got up to Maker Camp around dinner time.
Yeah.
And the really, really cool thing, the really nice thing was, when I got up there, people are so like, this community is amazing. Like, people are so caring and thoughtful. First thing out of anybody's mouth was, "How are you? How's the family? How's your house? How'd you guys do during the storm?" Like, it wasn't anything about them. It wasn't anything about me other than, we know what you just got out of. How are you doing? And that felt really good.
It was funny for the people that didn't see Morgan's story. He posted a story when he went into the airport, and the Orlando airport was literally empty. Like, you were the only person there, which
Like the only
in
one.
itself is creepy. But I can see how waking up and being like surrounded by people would be a little overwhelming.
Yeah, the whole thing was surreal. It just felt like a fever dream.
I don't know if I've told you, I've got quite the story from my day of travel too. So my flight was at 5:30 in the morning. I got to the airport at like 5:40, right? I walk in to go to check my bag, and by the time I'd waited in line and got to the counter, it was 4:47 a.m. And they told me that I had to be there 45 minutes ahead of takeoff to check a bag. So they wouldn't let me check my bag because I was 2 minutes late from waiting in line. not a huge deal, right? I'm like, I'll just check it at the gate or whatever. No, they moved my flight. So I got moved from a 5:30 flight to a 6 o'clock flight, and then ended up, instead of going through Charlotte, I went through DC, and somehow I ended up making it to the Albany airport before I would have on the other flight, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Um, but while I was in DC, our rental car, for some reason, I got an email saying it was canceled. So I rebooked a rental, get to Albany, go to the rental counter, and for some reason, the first rental was not canceled and the second rental never went through. So we got the first car. Um, it made no sense. But anyways, I got my money back. Thankful for that. But yeah, it was interesting. And then on top of all of that, Morgan wasn't there for another 24 hours. So I lucked out. I got to camp, and Austin, who runs Maker Camp, he and his guys had already taken the CNC out of the maker space and set it up. So honestly, it, for having, you not be able to be there on time, like, it worked out as best as it could, just because I got there and it was all done. So I'm thankful for that, but I hope that nothing ever happens like that again, because that day was stressful with one person, let me tell you.
Yeah. And the reason for all that, just to give you some context, is last year was our first year there, and we had a brand new machine shipped from our plant in Canada down to Maker Camp. Stone and I, with with limited tools, we spent
We
we spent
borrowed
the
so many
afternoon.
tools.
Yeah, we spent the afternoon putting it together. So yeah, it's fine, no big deal. We put the machine together, but at the end of the event, we're like, we don't we just didn't feel like packing it up and shipping it back to Canada, because, like, what are you even going to do with that? So what we worked out with them, with Austin, was, hey, we're just gonna, how about we just donate this to your makerspace, because they have a makerspace on site there at the Blackthorn Resort. And we said, we'll donate this on the condition that when we come back next year, we get to use this machine, so that we don't have to ship anything here, set it up, ship anything back. And they were like, perfect. So they've had that machine with them all year. And when we got there, it was already all set up in our tent. So setup was next to nothing. It's pretty awesome.
Literally, I plugged it in. That was all I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny actually, when we talked about that last year, you and me had that conversation between ourselves. And before I even mentioned it to Austin, he came up and asked, he was like, so how would y'all feel about donating this to the makerspace? So it really worked out. But anyways,
That's how I should approach brands for tools that I want. It's just like email Festool and be like, how would you feel about donating this to me for altruistic reasons,
it's a little different. You're not a makerspace, but I mean,
Yeah, but this is a space and I make.
this is true. By
Like,
definition,
what's
I
the
guess you
difference?
are in one.
That's true. Correct. But so because I wasn't there for the first 24 hours, Stone, why don't you tell me about how the first day went? Because honestly, I don't even think I've heard anything about that. I'm curious.
Honestly,
I'm just gonna listen.
my brain, now that I'm trying to think of it, I'm wondering if I am recovered, because my brain is like just so jumbled that day. Let's see.
So retrace your steps. You were there. You were heartbroken that I wasn't there.
I was heartbroken. I woke up that morning at 8 o'clock, and most of you, I guess, I don't know why y'all would know this. I only know this because we share a room so much. But whenever we go places, me and Morgan share a room, and this man is a very early riser. If you're unaware, he gets up at 4 a.m. usually.
Yeah.
So I slept till 8, and I woke up, and usually Morgan is just, around. He's doing stuff. I didn't wake up to his sweet smiling face. So that was disappointment number one right there. No, but I got up, and I'd say we probably started about 9:30 the first day. which looking back was honestly way too early, just because the first day of Maker Camp at 9:30, nobody's out there. But it gave me time to get the wasteboard surfaced and flattened and all pretty looking. So I did that. And that actually took quite a while just because I knew that Morgan was the one that set up our topographic carve that we'll get to later on. He did all of that work, getting it set up, getting it prepared for Maker Camp. But I just kind of got things to a point where we were ready to roll when he got there. But it was just a lot of questions, really, not a whole lot of machining the first day, just because I was a one-man show, so it was hard to run the machine and answer questions and do all that stuff all at once. But it was a very busy day. I think the first day, a lot of people just kind of walk around, really. It's not like you're doing so much. You're just trying to kind of get the lay of the land and figure out what you want to do throughout the weekend. But a lot of catching up with people, hugs, saying hi, and all that stuff. So that was really the first day. And then people really start showing up, I don't know, 3 or 4 in the afternoon, I guess Friday, just because there's some people that are, closer that aren't flying in the day before that drive up, but that was really it. It was kind of a chill first day. I mean, it wasn't as chill at the time, just because it felt like I was super overwhelmed, but it wasn't like a bad overwhelmed. It was just, everybody showing up, getting accustomed to be around each other again, and just hanging out really the first day. There's not too much that goes on. I know over in like the blacksmithing tent and all that, they have a lot more going on, but whenever we have a booth that's not like they call them make and take items, where you go in and you're actually making it. But with the CNC, it's a little different just because, once you've programmed your program, your toolpath, whatever, words are hard. But once you've done all of that, it's just pressing start and then you're just watching it. So there's a lot of people, like I said, we just stood around, watched the machine, answer questions, talk to people. But the real fun really started on day 2 when you showed up. So all of that.
Obviously.
Yeah. No, I will say when Morgan showed up, it was 4:30 or 5 o'clock on Friday, and Morgan showed up and I saw him from a distance and we locked eyes and he just gave me a big old hug and said, "I'm so happy to see you." And it makes my day. But no, I mean, I feel like if people have seen us together, like we feed off each other.
Yeah, if anybody listening doesn't know, like Stone is one of my favorite people in the whole world. It happens to be just a lucky, just a happy coincidence that we got paired together for just work circumstances. But like Stone's one of my favorite people in the whole world, and it makes it's really, really, really important. It's really good to work with people that you jive with, that you like. So I feel very fortunate.
Me too. Morgan's a real one.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So all right. Well then, I don't know if there's just stuff that happened on Thursday night that you're not at liberty to disclose.
No, I mean Thursday night, I guess that I could go backwards. Thursday night, there wasn't a lot of people there. When I got there Thursday, Jeff from Maker's Way had been texting me. I knew he was there. And he said he would help me set the CNC up. So I was going back and forth in text with him while I was driving up. And I got there and went and found him. And he had Zach from Double K and Jess from the Living Timber Co. So the 4 of us just kind of hung out, got dinner. We went they have a bar on site and they had a punching machine. So we let Jeff show us how that was done. But yeah, Jeff, I mean, other than that,
if you don't know Jeff is he's a compact individual. So if you're talking in mechanical terms, that means he's got a lot of torque. So a punch from Jeff. Yeah, so a punch from Jeff lot of power in that thing.
But yeah, Jeff beat us all. But we had a steak dinner that night. If you get there on Thursday is not snake night, steak night. So we had
Wednesday
a
is snake night.
Wednesday.
Did you? Yeah, Wednesday is snake night. They fill the bar with
Oh.
snakes, and you have to kind of escape. It's like a
My
fun
brain's-
game.
My brain's not working. I'm sorry. So
One out of
Thursday-
every 100 of them is venomous. You just have to avoid those.
Okay.
Sorry, back on track.
No, you're good. I'm trying not to lose it here. But yeah, we had steak. It was good. The pierogies were bomb. They just covered them in garlic butter. They were so good. And that's something we don't get down in the South. So that was a nice little treat. But yeah, other than that, we just kind of hung out. I went to bed fairly early that night, I feel like. I think it was before midnight.
Oh,
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was. But other than that, that was really all Thursday was. Just a little bit of setup, making sure everything was ready to go. My bits didn't actually show up until Friday morning, so I wouldn't have been able to do much anyways. But
well,
yeah.
that's fine because you're not scheduled to do demos on Thursday.
Well, no, but I needed them for Friday.
True. Yeah.
And they showed up at like noon. So
yeah, what can you do?
I had enough bits to do what I needed to. So
aside from bring them on the plane with you, which
I don't know how that would go. Like I thought about that, but I wasn't sure. And then I thought about I could just put them in my checked bag. But the last 2 times I've flown anywhere, my checked bag has been lost. So I was not super sure about that either. So
yeah, and I'll get to this later, but yeah, TSA is funky in terms of like what the things that they choose to scrutinize and the things that they don't. I brought something up that I thought there was no way that they were going to let me through security because I didn't have a check bag. I just had a carry-on. It's like there's no way they're going to let this through. I'll get to that later though. So anyway. So Friday morning, we can pick back up at Friday morning. What did we do for Thursday night? Yeah, it was like, so I got there Thursday.
No, you got there Friday.
I got there Friday. So
We've covered
I got there Friday evening. What did we do? I don't even think we ate dinner.
No, we didn't.
No. I was just too excited to be there. I was like, I didn't want to take time away from anything or hanging out with anybody. I was like, whatever. I got some Slim Jims in my carry-on. I'll eat those. That'll be my dinner. And I just get to hang out with people. And I was totally fine with that.
Yeah. I will say, I feel like everyone's mood really improved when Morgan showed up. Like, if you haven't experienced it, Morgan really is just the life of the party.
I don't know if I'd say that.
I've got some videos that would say otherwise.
I've been around these people, have been part of this community for a long time. So like, and I'm a really social person. And so when I get around this group of people, it just, I get around my friends and I want to make everybody happy. So I don't know if that's what you call being the life of the party, but I don't know. I like to make people smile. That's what I want.
Well, you're great at it. You deserve a cookie.
Oh, Friday night. Friday was okay. Well, no, I'm getting ahead of myself.
I just saw your eyes light up, and I was like, "This is what I'm talking about."
So, all right. So Friday we started the topographic 3D carve. So I made a 3D model of the East Durham area of the Catskill Mountains, which East Durham is where the Blackthorn Resort is. That's where everything kind of happens. And anybody who's staying in kind of like satellite cabins or whatever, it's all basically in East Durham. And so I got a 3D model of that. I learned how to do that last year or the year before, something like that. But there's if you go to our YouTube, if you go to our YouTube channel, there is a video about how to very, very easily do that. Because actually getting the model of the place that I want to make a carve of, that was the hardest part of the process. I found a really cool website that makes it really easy. So go to our YouTube channel and just look up like topography carve or something like that. You'll find it. It's pretty easy to find. So that's what we did. We just did a 3D topography carve of East Durham, and so the first day we did the roughing toolpath where you just hog out most of the material so that the finishing toolpath is only taking off just a little bit at a time to add the detail to the terrain. And that was kind of I designed the I want to say design, but I wanted that to be our demo because it's a really good demonstration of how the machine works of using all three axes at one time. But it's kind of quiet, and so you can see the machine working, doing what it does, but it's also quiet enough for us to actually have conversations and answer questions while it's running. So that was the idea.
How long did that end up taking? Was it like 6.5, 7 hours, something like that for the roughing?
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, it was in. I kept it conservative because I was like, I don't want it to finish too early because
Yeah.
then we're just standing around and the machine's not running. Just let it take its time, you know? Be real conservative with the tool path. Let it take its time, and then it'll just run all day, and we can answer questions and have conversations.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, it keeps the noise down. Obviously, we're not in a big hurry to finish a project just because it's only there so you can watch it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the whole point of it. So the one thing I will say was it was it was about a 24-inch cookie, right? Something like that.
Yeah,
About two
roughly
feet.
that. It's not, it was kind of oblong, so like 24 inches on the longer side, probably 21 or 22 on the shorter side.
Yeah.
It's hard to measure.
But I will say there were a lot of people that came by and really just like seeing the progress and seeing it in different stages, when it first started and it's just a big cookie. And then as it removes the materials, it's really cool because if you haven't done a 3D carve or seen one, it kind of gives it like a step down look when it's doing the roughing. So that was really cool just to get to see people's reactions to the CNC and how it works. Just seeing people being introduced to it for the first time. That's really cool to see every time, I think. There's always stuff like that at shows when people are mesmerized by the way it moves.
Yeah. And no matter how many times I've done it, I'm still mesmerized by the way that it moves.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see like people would come by periodically throughout the day to see the progress of the carve.
Mhm.
And it's to us it's like no big deal. We know that these machines can do this. We've done it a million times, but for some people, it's the first time that they're seeing something like this happen. There's like, oh my gosh, like I could potentially have a machine that can do this. Like that's incredible.
I've got the hiccups.
I thought you were grabbing your chest. I thought that you were just so moved by what I was saying. I was like, oh man, Stone.
I've got the hiccups. But no, I mean, I still do it sometimes where I just sit there and watch it. But
oh yeah, I do all the time.
Anyways,
so that was Friday. We spent most of the day just again just answering questions and having conversations while the demo ran. I met one of my oldest friends, buddy of mine that I met in 7th grade, and we've been friends ever since. We still talk regularly. His mother-in-law came to. He's not a wood. Well, he's working on building up his tool repertoire and his shop. But his mother-in-law is like an avid woodworker, and she came out, so I got to meet her.
That was really random. I had no clue where you were going with that.
Yeah. So yeah. Like he's my age, and so like his mom, I would imagine is the same age as my mom. So just this lady who's like an avid woodworker who's the age of my mom, just came and she's like, "You're Jonathan's friend." And I was like, "Yeah." So we talked for a while, and she's looking at a CNC. So, I just sat there and talked with her and answered questions, and it was fun. It was cool to meet somebody that's like familiar, has a familiar connection.
That is cool.
Anyway, that was just a side note. But that was Friday. End of the day Friday, coming into the evening is annual karaoke night. And that is the I would say probably the highlight of most people's weekend is like that first Friday night, annual karaoke night. Everybody just swings for the fences. It's so this year we did, what did we do? We did John Denver.
Well, let's take a step back here. I did not sign up for anything. Morgan signed up. Did you sign up by yourself to do that?
Yeah, I did.
So Morgan signed up to sing "Take Me Home, Country Roads" by John Denver. And he was doing a fantastic job, may I say. But I was approached by, I kid you not, at least 12 people that said, "Why aren't you up there singing with Morgan?" So I was coerced into doing it, but I did get up there, and about halfway through the song, I finished it with him.
And I'm glad you did. And I would have signed you up, but I couldn't find you when I was putting the paper in. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to find Stone before I have to go on. So just put me.
I was like 10 feet away. I don't know how, but it worked out. People got
it worked out. And the best thing is that like, so even only being there for a couple hours, you're talking so much that you lose your voice almost completely within just a few. Well, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, I lose my voice almost completely within a few hours of being at Maker Camp, just because of all the talking. I'm not used to talking that much. And so my voice sounded terrible, but to make up for that, when we started the song, I said, I'm pretty sure most people here are going to be familiar with the chorus of this song, so I'm going to let y'all handle that. And while you are singing the chorus, I'm going to just walk around and randomly and indiscriminately give hugs. And that's what I did. Just walked around hugging people. And I think that's the key to karaoke. It's not about how good you sing. That's actually the furthest thing from what it's about. So like you could pick a song that you just know you're good at. You just crush it. Vocally, best performance ever. Nobody cares. What's important is how you make the crowd feel. So you could sing terribly, and if you make the crowd feel good, you win at karaoke.
Crowd interaction is 95% of it, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially at Maker Camp.
Yeah. So that was Friday night. And then I think, we just hung out for a while, hung around the fire. That's the best part of Maker Camp, if you ask me, is the just the time in the pavilion with other people. Craig came around, asked me to make some bad decisions. I'm proud to say that I made the right decisions.
That's correct.
But yeah, just hung around the pavilion, and then we headed back to our cabin. And when I say cabin, we use that term loosely. It was a place with walls and a roof.
It had hot water, which was nice.
It had semi-hot water.
Oh, I don't see. You kept saying that. I had great water pressure, great water temperature.
The pressure wasn't the problem. It was the temperature.
I don't understand.
It was right at that. It was right at the cusp of like right where I need it, and just a little too not warm enough.
I'm a psycho that likes cold showers, though, so
Yeah. Well,
it wakes me up in the morning,
yeah. Well, you're a weirdo, so
I'm a weirdo.
that's right.
I'm your weirdo, though.
Um,
Sorry, that was
there was
really
also I'm just convinced that there's no in East Durham, and it's a cool town. It's a really cool town. Love the place. Love all the people there. But I'm convinced that there are no places that most people would categorize as nice. There are no nice places to stay in East Durham. They're all just kind of, I don't know, like sleeping in your college buddy's basement or an
that's
RV,
scary.
which a lot of people did.
Yeah, a lot of people sleep in an RV. I will say, I heard some people that said they had some pretty nice places. But at the end of the day, I mean, really, I feel like both of us are very low maintenance people.
Yeah, I've slept on granite countertops. No joke. Like in high
I
school,
believe it.
like yeah. No, it's not like I'm not like very low maintenance. I'm not the princess and the pea kind of thing.
Mhm.
But you know, I guess the older that you get, the more you kind of appreciate comforts, like
Yeah.
modern comforts. And but again, and we'll get to this later. Maybe we won't. But like one night I ended up crashing with a buddy in his RV. And we both slept sideways on the bed. So we had to curl up, and like I was fine with that. It's okay.
Oh man.
So that was
Friday.
Friday night. Jeez, we were taking a long we are long-winded on
I
this
don't know
one.
how long we talked before we actually started, though.
That's true. This is probably maybe 7 or 8 minutes. No worries. We'll just keep rolling. And
We'll
then
keep rolling.
if anything is irrelevant, we'll just cut it out later.
Yeah. Saturday, what happened? Saturday,
Stone and I woke up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
we did,
Extremely
honestly.
well rested.
We woke up and we said, I don't know how I'm this awake. That's how I felt Saturday morning.
Strangely,
I was
yeah.
alive. But yeah, we started off. We went and got breakfast at the dining hall there at camp. If you get I think both the gold and silver pass have it, but if you get the gold and silver pass, you get 2 meals included. So you get breakfast and dinner. Yeah, breakfast and dinner. So just your basic continental type breakfast: eggs, bacon.
I would say it's a step above
I
continental.
mean, it's
I've had
definitely
continental breakfast. It's usually like, here's some cantaloupe and a cup of yogurt. Like that's what you get.
yeah.
It was like a legit breakfast.
It
It's really
was.
good.
It was. The bacon was really good on Saturday too.
Yeah.
But yeah, your basic breakfast stuff: eggs, sausage, bacon. I think they had biscuits one morning. But yeah, so we had breakfast.
Yeah.
After
Second
that,
day we went out back, after breakfast, we went out back to the tent and finished up our 3D topography carve of East Durham on
no. Saturday we did the roughing.
No, Saturday we did the roughing.
Yeah, Friday you weren't there. I got everything ready up to that point.
Oh, you're right. So Saturday we did the roughing. Sorry, I'm shifting. See, that's what it messed me up getting there a day late.
We waited too
My
long to do
perception
this.
of it is all shifted by a whole 24 hours. But anyway, yeah.
Saturday morning
We went out there. We set up the cookie on the machine. We started roughing this 3D topography. We had people come by. We answered questions. We had conversations. The cool thing about these is that a lot of it, like, I would say probably 75% of the people that visit our booth, whenever we either this or any show that we do, either already have a Onefinity or are very familiar with the Onefinity. It's very rare that we actually talk to somebody who is hearing about us for the first time, which makes it super easy for us. And then the people that the people that are there that already have a Onefinity that are just hanging around the booth, whenever somebody comes to talk to us and they don't, they're hearing about us for the first time, the people that already have one, they're like, they jump into the conversation. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, let me, they share their own experience with the machine and their thoughts on, just like the machine and working with it, but also working with the brand and like, customer support and all that stuff. And they're always there and very willing to share their thoughts on their experience with the whole thing. And that's super cool because that's the best to me. That's the best testimonial that you can, like. Stone and I, we're employed by Onefinity, so whatever we say at the booth, you have to and don't blame anybody for this. You have to take with a little bit of skepticism. Just like
I
anytime you
wouldn't
get
lie to the people.
well,
I'm
no,
just,
like
I know.
that's exactly what somebody who would lie to people would say.
But the people that know me,
Right, but they don't know you.
no,
That's
everyone knows me.
like,
What are you
they don't
talking
know
about?
the machine. They don't
No.
know us. They're
Yeah, I
walking into this blank slate. So like, they
I know.
that's why testimonials and reviews are so important. Like whenever I buy something from Amazon or whatever, I go through and I scrutinize the reviews because I'm not gonna just take at face value what the listing says. I'm gonna go see what people say about it.
Oh, for sure.
So
I
that's
completely agree with you. I just had to, play the other side of it a little bit for you.
yeah. No, Stone and I are not gonna lie to you. Putting that out there right now. We have no motivation to lie to you.
If we don't make commission on sales, so we really don't gain anything.
Yeah, we have no motivation to lie to you, and there's really, it's the machine speaks for itself, and what the machine doesn't say, the existing users who are there and willing to speak up make up for the rest. So
It is really
that
cool
makes
though, because like you said, like a good portion of the people that are at our booth are users or have a lot of knowledge about it just because they're familiar with it. And it's cool to be able to kind of sit back whenever someone asks a question, and before you or I can even get a word out, someone's already answering it and showing them a project as an example piece or something like that, and how they did something. So it's really cool to get to see other people collaborate too and come up with ideas like that.
Yeah, it really is awesome. Like I've never gone to like an Apple store and just like hung around and like waited for somebody to ask one of the geniuses a question about the phone and be like, "Oh, I can answer that one." Like I've never done that.
I feel like that would be a great video. You should do that.
Yeah, but we've got people that do that, and that's really cool that, people feel so compelled to really share their experience about it. That's great.
No, honestly, like it just makes our jobs easier, but it's also just like we do appreciate like the people that are really invested in Onefinity and us individually. Like it makes it way more enjoyable and way easier to go and do shows like that.
Oh yeah, 100%. So there's not, I mean, as far as like at the booth, there's not really a whole lot to say about it. Like we sat there, we talked to people, the
We
machine was
did,
running, and
we did a
then
really big 3D carve, so it just took a lot of time.
yeah,
So
and then the day was over.
yeah.
And then Saturday, what did we do Saturday night?
What was Saturday night? Did they
There
have
was
was
no
that the
karaoke.
they
Oh, we
had like
went to Jimmy's Saturday night.
oh, was that no, that was Sunday night.
No, no, we
I
went. You were there Saturday night. I went back Sunday. But Saturday night was when they were having the pizza party. You were there for the pizza party, right?
for the Another Woodshop podcast.
No, that was
was on
that was
Saturday.
their pizza party.
Yeah, but that was on Saturday, and you went to that with me.
Yes. So I did go to that. But
That
then
was the
at
first thing we
Jimmy's,
did
they
when
were
we
also
finished up.
making pizza over at Jimmy's.
Yes. Man, the days are really running together. Okay.
Right? Yeah, it's all kind of
that's
a
right.
blur.
Saturday. No, I went to Jimmy's on Sunday. 100% positive.
I'm actually 100% positive you didn't.
I'm checking the call log.
All right. We'll
But no, we did go
you
to
throw
the
this out later.
the another wood shop podcast. We went straight from the booth to there when we finished Saturday because they had a pizza party for all of their patrons. Now, I
Which
myself,
we are not patrons
I was
of,
about to say, I
but
know I'm not. I don't know if Morgan is, but all of the guys on that podcast have Onefinities. So they invited us over. We really appreciate that.
yeah, thank you guys.
I think there was like 7 different podcasts represented at the podcast.
Yeah, everybody everybody at the Another Woodshop podcast pizza party is most of us were part of another podcast. And so somebody made that observation and we all just kind of laughed about it. But it was a really good time. And that's honestly, like, that is the best use of the money that they make from their podcasts. They're, they're not pocketing it, although they would have every right to do so. They put it back into the community, throwing a pizza party for their patrons and just their friends and people that they know in the community at events, which is super, super cool. So Dan, Braden, Pete, love you guys. And Nick, maybe, I don't know.
He's a normal,
But
I don't think he's
Dan,
part of the
Braden, Pete, we love you guys, and we really appreciate you guys inviting us and welcoming us into your pizza party, podsa party.
Awesome. I just looked. You were right. We went to Jimmy's on Saturday, so I apologize.
But yeah, on Saturday, Jimmy DeResta, if we didn't say that, like the godfather of the maker community and pretty much instrumental in getting Maker Camp up and running, like starting that whole thing. He will sometimes just have have people over at his house, which is a couple miles away from where Maker Camp is. And that particular night, he was having people make pizza. I think the vendor that was there at Maker Camp that had their like mobile brick oven or whatever had them over at his house. He was making a bunch of pizza and just everybody hanging out and chilling by the fire. And I don't know, it's a good time. Very, very mellow, very good time. Everybody just, it's weird. Like being at his house and his shop, somebody that everybody really, really looks up to and really kind of reveres is like a celebrity, in this community. It's just so chill over there. Like, he's just like, yeah, sure, come on by, have some pizza.
He is the most genuine and generous person. Like,
it's crazy.
Ever. It's insane. How many pizzas did you say? Was it you that was saying there was like 300 something pizzas over the course of the 4 days?
I don't have that figure.
I don't know. Someone told me how many pizzas he had made, and it was some ridiculous number. But he just has like basically an open door policy where he just lets people come over and check out the shop. And he just finished up his like new leatherworking shop and the horse barn. And
yeah, did you go into the leatherworking shop?
It was immaculate. Also, it smells so good in there. Like,
smells great. And also, my favorite part of the leatherworking shop is the beautiful French doors on the upstairs loft that open up to your imminent death. So he's got these. It's a 2-story barn. Downstairs is kind of like garage and storage space, and then upstairs is just really nice, really cool, polished leatherworking space. But at each end there are these French doors on each wall, and then like if you open up the door and it's not like secured, it wasn't even locked or anything. You open the door. I'm sure that there is a plan to have some sort of walkway, like stairs going down
or something. Yeah.
a balcony or whatever. But like right now, it's not. It's like 90% done. You open up the door and it's just like a
20-foot drop.
like a 20-foot drop. Like if you just stepped out of there, you would break your neck. It's awesome. I mean, I thought it was awesome. But anyway, so yeah, so pizza party at Jimmy DeRessa's on Saturday. Got to check out the shops rather, and I think you headed back a little bit earlier than I did, but I just hung out for a little while longer, and then I went straight to. I met Papa Chad. Did you meet Papa Chad?
I met him last year. Yeah,
Papa
Alabama
Chad,
Papa Chad. It's my type
Papa
of
Chad
man.
is the man, but he gave me a ride back to our cabin, again in air quotes. And that was the first night that Friday night was the first night that I stayed at the cabin.
Yeah, Friday night. Saturday night, I thought you came back to the Blackthorn.
You're right, I did.
Because I drove us back to the cabin Saturday night.
That's right. See, it's everything just kind of blurs together. Like the nights are so late and the days are kind of similar that like it's hard to keep track of what happened on what day, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we went back and then we had a new roommate, I think on Saturday.
Oh yeah, the mouse.
So when Stone and I were there on Friday,
there
was no wildlife in our cabin. Saturday when we woke up, there was a dead mouse in there.
Yeah. He was not there when we went to bed and we woke up.
Yeah, which means that he was alive and running around while we were there, and then at some point just said, you know what, that's it. I'm ready to go meet my maker.
But he was just laying in the living room floor chilling when we got up.
Yeah.
Literally, he was frozen solid. It was cold in there.
Yeah, it was wild.
But we made the business decision to leave him there for the rest of the weekend.
Yes. Because it was cold enough. It was like a refrigerator in there. So like it wasn't going to decay or start smelling or anything. So we figured it was the management's responsibility, not ours. Anyway, Sunday we woke up, you know what? Even more pristine, even more well rested than the previous days. Just feeling like $1 million. We got out there. It was pretty slow on Sunday, but Sunday it was raining.
Yeah, it was kind of rain. It rained on and off.
It
wasn't near as bad as last year, though.
More on than off.
I mean, yeah, but it wasn't a torrential downpour. So.
Yeah. So last year we had like ankle deep water just flowing under our machine.
It's not an exaggeration.
We're like, is this even safe to be operating like this way? And so we made the decision to turn the machine off, cut the power, and we're like, all right, we can't do it. And then 5 minutes later, the folks from the Blackthorn came around and intentionally were like, hey, it's not safe. We got to shut everything off. So, yeah, that was last year, but it did rain this year, more on than off, but not unmanageable, not to where we couldn't actually run our machine and continue doing our demos and doing what we were there to do.
Well, one thing that was different this year that really made the difference there was, one, we were in our own tent.
Yeah.
We were in the Onefinity CNC tent rather than the Sabertooth power carving tent. So we weren't near all of our friends like we were last year, but we did have our own space, which was really nice. And the second reason it was really nice was because there was a concrete slab. So we weren't, in the middle of a lake.
Yeah, the concrete slab did make a lot of difference. And just where the tent was located, it didn't lend itself to a lot of pooling and puddling of rainwater. Where we were last year, it was a little dicey. But yeah, so the rain was no big deal. And so, I mean, it's pretty normal day with fewer visitors for sure. just because it's the third day. Probably a lot of people have already kind of headed home, and a lot of people were kind of hunkering down in one place or another because they just didn't want to walk around in the rain. But no, we still had some visitors. We finished up our demo. The carve came out really nice. And then we just left it there because we carved it out of completely green, totally wet, like 40% uh moisture wood. So but that's fine. That wasn't the point wasn't to have something that we could bring home. The point was to show the machine doing what it does while people were there so they could see it.
Yeah.
Um
But
yeah,
this is
and that was
3
Sunday.
days too late now, but I just thought about on Friday, I made this is the other thing I did. I made a sign for Mark Adams.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so I'm going backwards here, but that was my aside from flattening the wasteboard, I made a sign for Mark because if you haven't been to Maker Camp, one of the things that you absolutely have to do is you have to get your picture taken by Mark Adams. He does the black and white headshots that everybody's posting. But he just does a phenomenal job, and he is just a thrill to sit there and have him take your picture. He gets you laughing, and he really brings people out of their shell, I feel like. But he had a little ticket counter this year because usually people just wait in line for hours to get their picture done. So he had a little thing where you could take a ticket, and it came with this little sign that says "take a ticket" or whatever. But Mark, being all about the maker community, said this isn't maker-ish enough, so he commissioned me to make him a sign. So I did that. But
That's awesome. That's the first time I'm hearing about that. That's great.
it's I'm assuming still screwed to that post, but he might have taken it with him. I don't know. Maybe we'll see it again next year.
I'm super bummed that I did not get my picture taken by Mark this year. Like every time I walk by, I was like, I got to do it. I got to do it. But there's always somebody that you see that you want to go talk to. There's always something that you want to go do. And there's just, even though you're there for 3 days, well, you were there for 3 days, 3.5 days.
Yeah.
I was there for one less than that. And there's so much that you want to do. Like, even though that was something that was really important to me, that I wanted to, and I like Mark. Like, I gave him a big hug when I got there. We talked for a while. Like, really wanted to do that. Didn't have time, or couldn't find the time, rather. Just because there was, other people that I wanted to see, I wanted to talk to, and I'll get the next one. But it is cool that we appear in his book several times from
Oh
our
yeah,
our
did
photos last year.
you sign his yearbook?
I did sign it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Sunday, or not Sunday. Oh, Sunday night I did actually go back to Jimmy's.
Wait. Let's slow down because we haven't covered Sunday during the day yet.
Oh, I thought we just did.
No,
It's like we, talked to people and finished the carve, and
we haven't talked about the 3D finish yet, have we?
yeah, I think, well, kind of. I mean, we was like,
We finished
so
the
after
3D
the roughing,
carve.
so we saved the 3D finishing toolpath for Sunday. We did that. It ended up taking about 2.5 hours. And then it was done.
All right.
Bada bing, bada boom.
We did do one more carve after that, and this one was not planned well, kind of planned. So Pat Lapp, he is a Onefinity user, and he's been trying to learn VCarve Pro. So we had a little crash course on that, and then we actually carved his new logo for him. I don't know if he's done it yet, but he took that home with him so he could put some finish on it and do that. But we'll have to get a picture of that too. But that was the last project we did. No, it's not. One more, and then I promise I'm done.
What else? I thought that Pat's thing was the last thing we did.
No, so I engraved a pin on Saturday for Jimmy. So Sarah from Rosie's wood shop, she made a bunch of pins on her lathe that she brought to give to people, and she said, "I want to give this to Jimmy, but no one has a laser to engrave it. Do you think you can do it with the CNC?" And I break a lot of stuff, but I told her, if you have one you're willing to sacrifice as a test, we can try it. So we tried it with her name on a pin, and it worked beautifully with the 60-degree V-bit. So we put Jimmy's name on a pin as well, and did that for her. So that's on Instagram or something like that if you want to check that out. But that was our final project. Now I'm done.
I didn't even see that. But yeah, so after we finished the 3D topography thing, we did a thing for Pat. And if anybody is familiar with Pat, he was on a Netflix show, Making Fun, and he's just so full of energy. Like, anybody that sees that or just sees him on social media, like, he's just such a fun guy.
And it's not like, that's not a show either. Like, that's just Pat's personality all the time.
It really is.
He is one of the most animated people I've ever met.
Yeah. And just super, super kind, super gracious. And we're super glad that he is part of Team Onefinity. That's
for sure.
That's fun. So you did that, and then you did the thing for Sarah, and then I think we kind of closed up shop.
That was it.
So then Sunday night, there wasn't a pizza party over at Jimmy's. There was really only, I would say, maybe 6 or 7 people over there. And I wasn't planning on going over there, but I had to, because the couple weeks ago I made a video about remember that mallet that it's on our YouTube channel. I have a video about how to make this mallet, but then I remade it. I redesigned it so that you could add these impact activated lights and put that in there so that when you wax stuff, it lights up, and whatever logo you put on the outside, it'll light up, and it's cool. If you're working with wood, you wax something, it lights up. It's great. So I made one for Jimmy. I put the Maker Camp logo on one side, and then I put the Duresta logo on the other side. And so I gave it to him earlier in the weekend, but I didn't get like any video of him with it or anything. I was like, that's kind of a missed opportunity. So I wasn't planning on going over there on Sunday, but some folks were heading over. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go. I just got to get Jimmy, like, holding the mallet, showing it that he has it or whatever, to kind of tie the whole thing together. But so I went over there and I asked him to do that. I feel bad asking him to do stuff because I feel like people ask him to do stuff all the time, and
he loves you.
That's gotta be exhausting though.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I asked him to just like, hey, can you just like give the mallet a whack and show that it lights up and stuff? That'd be cool. So we did that, but then we just spent like a couple hours like hanging out in his kitchen, like with his mom. It was just like, I was hanging out with Jimmy and his mom and his brother.
A new level.
Yeah, it's just, I'm like, and then this is weird because like I've looked up to Jimmy for a long time. I started doing woodworking in like 2012, and like Jimmy is one of the first people that I started learning stuff from on YouTube, and just looked up to him for a long time. So like it's surreal for me to just be like hanging out in his kitchen with him and his mom. He said he's going to keep my mallet in the kitchen to smash potatoes, which is awesome.
I love that.
Yeah. And then I think I got a ride back from, no, wasn't it was Kamani that night. And then we went back to so we rode back from Jimmy's, got back to the Blackthorn, and just had probably the most epic dance party that there's ever been. I feel like historians are going to be talking about it for centuries. It was that good of a dance party at the
It
bar.
was. DJ White Oak killed it.
Yeah, Sean Kirch. Hire him for your next wedding or bar mitzvah or quince or whatever you got going on. Sean Kirsch is the DJ to have.
It was an experience
for sure. Yeah, went to bed super late. I crashed with Kamani that night just because it was the only ride that I had away from that dance party. And then I got up and went home. Then I got up and went home. That was it. That was the end of it.
Yeah. We got up and left about 10:30. Drove back to the airport and we parted ways. And then my flight got delayed for 3 hours. So I sat in Albany Airport for a long time.
Yep.
There was this dude, he had on a trench coat and like a bowler kind of hat. And he was breathing really, really heavy. And he just kept getting up and doing laps. And I felt really uncomfortable for like probably 45 minutes. And I was like, you know what? I don't feel like I am safe here. I'm going to go to the other end of the airport and take a nap. So I went and found a nice comfy chair and I did that. And yeah, made it home Monday. And what's today? Tuesday? Yeah. So we're basically 1 week out from making it home now. And I think I'm mostly recovered.
Yeah, so I'm still not sure that I'm fully recovered. So
the brain fog has been real.
Yeah, so when I got back, I felt like my body felt fine, totally normal, but I felt like my brain got restored to factory settings. It was just it had been wiped and remembered nothing. And it just, bit by bit, just like when you restore your computer, you put the programs that you had back on, you update the iCloud or whatever. Bit by bit, it's been coming back. But yeah, I felt like I got restored to factory settings when I got home, just because it's so draining. Mentally, it's super draining, but emotionally, it's super energizing.
Yeah,
I feel incredibly emotionally energized when I get back from Maker Camp and Workbench Con, Texas Woodworking Festival, like all those things. When I get to spend time with the people that I care about, people in this community, it's restorative.
for sure.
I would say it has a restorative nature. So if you haven't gotten a chance to get out to one of those shows, you should make an effort to. You will not regret it.
100%. It's one of those things where I think just getting to be with like-minded people who are, doing the same kind of stuff in their day-to-day as you are, it makes it easy to open up and talk and just have a good time with them. Because they understand they're doing the same things. They're going through a lot of the same stuff. And it's a big bonding moment for sure.
Yeah. I think that's the main benefit. I think that's the main reason people go to these things. Sure, it's cool that like you get to go to these classes, go to these different tents and build different stuff. But at the end of the day, like you could forget and leave what you made there by accident, just like forget and leave it there, and you would still go home feeling good because of the time that you spent with the people that were there. It's awesome that you can bring something home that you made, but I think the memories that you form there, that's the most important thing you bring home.
Yeah, I only made one thing. I guess last year I only made one thing too. Did you make anything this year?
No, I was in the booth.
I mean, yeah, but I did so Sunday night I made chopsticks with Ryan.
So that's where you were.
Well, you were It was like 9 o'clock Sunday, and I walked over to say like bye to Ryan because he was packing up. Um, and if you don't know Ryan, check him out, Ryan Cochran. He was an Olympian. Super cool story behind all that, but he's a great dude too. And he was set up at the Bridge City / Harvey booth making chopsticks with their chopstick kits. But he's got a Onefinity. And I walked over to say bye, and he was like, "You want to make some chopsticks? You hadn't made any." And I was like, "Dude, you're literally like," he had the top of his table removed. And he was like, "No, you're making chopsticks." So I made some chopsticks with Ryan, just sat there and shoot the breeze while we were working on these. I was told, not to brag, that I made the best set of chopsticks all weekend, but they're not perfect. So I don't know how that's possible.
He says that to everybody.
I figured. See, he's just trying to
I
make
didn't
me
even
feel
make
good.
chopsticks, and he said that to me. So
See, now I know, Ryan, your secret's out. But no, I mean, just like getting to do stuff and the people's willingness to go out of their way just to be kind in this community is just, that's my whole point there. Last year, it was a similar thing with Luke and Priscilla from PL Smith. Luke stayed open late and helped me make a key ring that I've got around here somewhere. But just like the little stuff like that, the people that are willing to go out of their way and to take time out of their schedule just to be a friend and to do something nice for somebody else. It just never gets old, and you really can't understand it until you've been there and experienced it, I guess.
Yeah.
But this is an awesome community, and we're thankful for you guys.
super, super thankful.
That was way more tender-hearted than it was intended to be, but
No. Speak
no.
speak your truth. Speak your heart. Like no, but seriously, like that's how we feel. Like I've been I've been hanging around these people. What do you mean, you people? No, I've been hanging around these people since I think kind of like 2018 was the first time that I really kind of like started like in person, like spending time with this community. And no, it's I wouldn't trade it for. I love these people with all my heart. So no, don't be worried about being sappy. Be sappy. It's good. Tell people how you feel.
I will. I'll tell them everything.
All right.
No.
Well, I think that's gonna do it for today. We just got real long-winded about Maker Camp, but it's that important of an event to us that we just felt like we had to just tell you everything. So
I'm sure we're not
going to bore you any longer.
I'm sure we probably didn't do it justice, but like, this is one of those things where you really do just need to go and experience it for yourself. So if you haven't been to Maker Camp, you should definitely sign up for 2025. That's all I have to say. I've talked enough.
Yeah. There's no way to really do it justice. It's like verbally trying to describe the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
You can't. Yeah, it doesn't.
I've never seen the Grand Canyon, so I don't understand that reference.
Well, I'm not going to try to describe it to you verbally because that would just be an injustice. So you got to do it. You got to experience it yourself. Same way with Maker Camp. That's it. That's all I've got to say. I think Stone said that all that he's got to say.
Yep.
And we're going to call it for this one. Thank you guys so much for listening. And if you made it to the end, whoo, God bless you. That was a journey.
Well, that's it. That's the episode. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Y'all take care. Be good.
Bye.
Bye.
Gather around, it's time to play. We've got stories for your day. From Onefinity, it's clear to see the finest CNC. It's the Cutting Edge Podcast. Let's take a fight with designs and tools that ignite. From wood to steel, we peel and reveal the art of making done just right. Tips and tricks that elevate, craftsmanship that's first rate. Join the fun, we've just begun. The cutting edge awaits. on this journey side by side. Hear the stories far and wide, from dream to deed, with utmost speed, where passion takes its stride. It's the Cutting Edge Podcast, let's take a flight, with designs and tools that ignite. From wood to steel, we peel and reveal the art of making done just right, right. It's the Cutting Edge Podcast, let's take a flight, with designs and tools that ignite. From wood to steel, we peel and reveal the art of making done just right.